Have you ever sat back and watched what a few other people may be doing, the extreme success they're enjoying, and at just about the same time feel that maybe success was just slipping through your fingers? Why does that happen? How does a guy like me, no formal education, no business experience, earn millions of dollars, build a business that operates all over the world? I don't have any special talent and ability. I've just got some phenomenal information that I've gathered over the past 52 years. And you can have it. When we fully realize that thought causes all, we'll know there's never any limits. But we ourselves do not impose. It starts inside. Your life to this point has been controlled by a paradigm, and so you've been thinking thoughts that are in harmony with the paradigm. That is why we keep getting the same results over and over and over again. The terror barrier bounces up, and you bounce right off the damn thing. If you can build the fantasy, and you can turn it into theory, I guarantee you it'll turn into a fact. I went into companies, and I started to show the companies how paradigms was controlling the productivity. And you know their sales went up by hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you think the Wright brothers were being logical? Do you think they were being realistic? They weren't scientists. They were bicycle mechanics in Dayton, Ohio. What do you really want? Go lay under a tree somewhere. Don't even talk to anybody. Let your mind wander. Let it take off. Martin Luther King didn't have a plan. He said, I have a dream. You gotta have guts. Don't throw your wants. Don't leave your wants on the table. For goodness sake, take a run at it. Now, I want you to go and sit down at that table, and you pick up those dreams that you've left sitting there for a while. And you say, no more. I'm alive, I'm awake, and I'm on the move, baby. Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor from the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and I've got some information that I think you're going to enjoy. I'm going to share a bit of a personal story with you and then reveal something that I've discovered that could change your life just like that. Have you ever sat back and watched what a few other people may be doing, the extreme success they're enjoying, and at just about the same time feel that maybe success was just slipping through your fingers? If you feel that your success has been slipping through your fingers in your relationships with loved ones, maybe your own children, maybe your business associates, or if you feel success has been slipping through your fingers insofar as your business, with your income, if you feel success of any kind has been slipping through your fingers in an area, maybe in sports or some area that I have not mentioned, I want you to go immediately. Don't put it off. Don't think you have something else to do. Do it right now. Sit down and take a pen and a pad and focus on that area that you want to change. And I guarantee you, if you can isolate what you want, I can show you how to get it. It's so easy to read in the paper, you see on TV. Well, it could be a personality, but it might be a relative or a person down the street, or maybe somebody you went to school with that you really didn't think was that bright, but they're enjoying tremendous success. And you just seem to be getting the same results all the time. Well, I discovered something. It took 9 years of intense research on my own personal part. But when I discovered it, I thought I had the keys to the kingdom. And all I wanted to do was share it with other people. So I'm going to ask you to open your mind a little and really become super honest with yourself. And I believe if you do, I'm going to show you how to get results that stick. Now, this isn't a game we're playing. This is a life that we're living. Many, many years ago, when I was a very young man, a man that became probably the best friend I'll ever have gave me this book. Now, this particular copy I've been reading for the past 52 years. It's Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, it's fairly obvious. I've been reading this book for a long time. Pages are falling out of it. The covers come off it, but I stick with it and I keep reading it. Now, it's not that I'm such a slow reader, it's just there's so much in this book. And I have found that regardless of what level of success I may enjoy, I can always find how to raise the bar through studying some of Napoleon Hill's material. Now, let me go back to the time I was a little kid. And this is the part I think probably that you'll be able to relate to. I did things I didn't want to do, and yet I was doing them anyway. And I'd get caught, and the teacher would say, "Why did you do that?" I say, "Well, I don't know." "Well, what do you mean you don't know? You know better." "I know." "Why'd you do it?" "I don't know." And to be quite honest with you, I don't know, or I didn't. And I go home and my mother would go through the same deal when I did something. "Why did you do that?" "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know? You know better." "I know." "Well, why'd you do it?" "I don't know." I remember I was in the Navy and commanding officers say, "Proctor." "Yes, sir." "Why did you do that?" "I don't know, sir." "You know better than that." "I know." "Why'd you do it?" "I don't know." You see, all over the world, there's people doing things they don't want to do. It's giving them results they don't want to get, and they do it anyway. Why does that happen? Why is it that an individual will graduate from a prestigious university with a very beautiful degree and yet not capitalize on it? You see people every day who are absolutely brilliant. You know some, you're related to some. They've got degrees coming right off the end of their business card, and they're not making it. They may be broke. If they're in business, the business is stuck. Why does that happen? Well, I found out because of what happened to me reading this book. You see, when I started to read this, everything in my life started to change. Now, I was given a directive by the man that gave me the book, Raymond Douglas Stanford, and he said, "Bob, if you do exactly what I tell you, until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about," he said, "you'll get results that shock you." Now, I've got to tell you, up to that point, I had been going down many roads and they were all wrong roads. I was 26 years old. I had never held a half-decent job. I was earning $4,000 a year and I owed $6,000. I just wasn't making it. I was stuck. And it had always been that way. And I didn't know how to change it. I wanted to, and I didn't know how. And he said, "Do exactly what I tell you." Well, you know, from the time I picked this up to 1 year later, my income changed and my life changed like night and day. Now, do you know, it's almost like daytime becoming night. You don't really notice it happening. You just notice, my goodness, it's dark out already. Well, that's the way my life changed. And I went from earning $4,000 a year, which was the most I'd ever earned up to that point, and I took it up to $175,000 a year. Now, you may be wondering, what was I doing? Because I'm going way back to 1961. I found out that it really doesn't matter what you're doing. Well, it does, but for the most part, it doesn't. What matters is how you're doing it. You see, when I read that book, I set a goal. I wanted to have $25,000. I gave myself a decade to do it. I really didn't believe it would happen. And I started cleaning floors on the side after my normal job, just to make a couple extra dollars. I ended up cleaning floors in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. My income shot up to over $5 million. And I didn't know what I was doing. I had to figure it out. And I sat down and I started to think, what happened? I had been raised to believe much the same as you've been raised to believe. If you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. But you know something? I knew I wasn't very smart. And I'm not putting myself down. I just knew I wasn't very smart. But I was earning a lot of money. Now, I'd also been raised to believe if you're going to have a good job or get a good position, you've got to have a good formal education, go to school to get a degree. I didn't go to school. I got kicked out of school after 2 months in high school. Now, I was happy about it, but so were they. See, I was really a misguided kid. I didn't have any formal education. I didn't have a good position. I owned the company. Now, you've got to admit, that would cause any thinking person to be a little confused. And I couldn't figure out what happened, but I wanted to know. I wasn't satisfied just with the fact that I was winning. I wanted to know why I was winning. And so I began to study, and I have never stopped. Now, one thing led to another, and I ended up walking away from my own company and taking a job. I took cut from income from a few $100,000 a year to $18,000 a year. In 1968, I went to work for the Nightingale-Conant Corporation. Now, Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant became my personal mentors. And of course, because of my association with them, I became exposed to some absolute giants in the area of personal growth. Now, this is a way back when personal growth as an industry was really just beginning to start. I was selling records when I got into this business, long playing records. But I never stopped studying, and one thing led to the other, and I finally got the dots to connect. And when I got it connect, it was so obvious I was missing it. I want you to let your head represent your mind. Now, first of all, nobody's ever seen the mind. Mind is activity. Mind is not a thing. Your brain is not your mind. Your brain is an electronic switching station that alters the vibration you're in. And the vibration you're in dictates what you attract, but that's another subject. I want you to let the top half of your head represent the conscious mind, the bottom half represent the subconscious mind. Now, it's the conscious mind that school focuses on. That's where we gather all the information. If I could show you a graphic, you would see the conscious mind loaded with books, and the subconscious mind has a paradigm locked up in it. Now, think of that for a moment. Do you know that your paradigm controls your vibration, it controls what you attract, and it also controls what you do? It literally controls your behavior. If you look outside at your results are nothing but the manifestation of your paradigm. And when you go to change your paradigm, which is something you must do if you want to change results, I'm going to tell you, you're in for the battle of your life. Paradigms do not want to be changed. There's an old saying, I've heard it many times over the years, habits die hard. So you have to ask yourself, what is a paradigm? A paradigm is a multitude of habits. They're ideas that are fixed in your subconscious mind, and when all brought together, they're called paradigms. So the paradigm is like a cybernetic mechanism. It's a control system in your subconscious mind. And the wisest among us sometimes do not understand that. So they don't understand how to change it. You see, unfortunately, school doesn't teach this to us. If you're having trouble in school, they tell you study some more. And so you pile some more information. But that doesn't change the behavior. If the teachers, if the parents only understood the report card is a reflection of the paradigm, not a reflection of the information that that student has gathered. If the sales manager only understood that the sales sheet is a reflection of the salesperson's paradigm, not what they know about selling. You see, people will study selling. They'll study practice and presentations. They study overcoming objections, and they study closing. And they get it right down to a science. But when they get in front of a prospect, the paradigm takes over. Well, you see, when I learned this, I thought I had made a breakthrough, and I had. But it was much bigger than I thought. I went into companies, and I started to show the companies how paradigms was controlling the productivity in that company, regardless of the size. And one of the first large contracts I had was with the Prudential of America, and almost simultaneously with the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. They are the two largest insurance companies in the world. And I was showing the agents how to change paradigms. And you know, their sales went up by hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm not exaggerating. This is all documented. I'm not making up some funny story. This is on the books of the Prudential of America. One retired VP said he thought that Proctor raised the sales by $1 billion. Now, I worked all throughout the company. I've worked with companies all over the world, showing the employees how to alter the paradigm. See, employees are the most important thing to a company. Now, companies don't always seem to recognize that. They spend a lot of money on systems, on buildings, on brick and mortar, and on things. The next time you go into a hotel, think of this. If we took all the staff out of a hotel, from the chambermaid to the general manager, you wouldn't have a hotel any longer. You just have a brick and mortar edifice, a building full of stuff. You see, the hotel is the people. I was recently staying in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. If you ask an employee where something is, they don't tell you, they show you. They have a motto: we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Well, I want you to stop and really think of your results. And then ask yourself, do I know how to get better results? Oh, you do. I'm talking about from relationships to selling to building your business. If you feel, and without any formal education, without any real business experience, I built a pretty successful company. And I have been building successful companies and helping companies change, build bigger companies for 46 years now. There might be one or two people that are still alive that have been out longer than me. You see, I'm going to be 80 on my next birthday. But you want to know something? I got as much energy as a person in their 30s or 40s. And I'm going to tell you why. I understand who I am. I understand how to express the higher side of my own personality. See, we don't get energy, we release energy. And desire is the triggering mechanism to release the energy. Well, I can show you. I can show you how to alter the paradigm. I'll help you understand how it was built, because it's genetic. It was started right at the moment of conception, when all of mom's DNA and all dad's DNA came together and formed the nucleus of you. And then 280 days later, you made your great debut on this planet, and you were programmed environmentally. I'm going to show you how to change it. I'm going to show you how to take the knowledge you've already got and compound your results. Turning your annual income to a monthly income, it's doable. I can show you how to do it. I'm not exaggerating, not even a bit. It's shocking when you stop and think about what you're capable of doing. Edison one time said, if we all did what we were capable of, we would astonish ourselves. Do you know something? I think it's time we started to astonish ourselves. See, at the Proctor Gallagher Institute, we give you information that produces results that stick. It's not a blip on the screen. I feel good, so it goes up, but it comes back down. We're going to show you how to change that automatic pilot that's lodged in your subconscious mind. We're going to show you how to alter that paradigm and how to consciously and deliberately build the paradigm that will produce the results automatic that you seriously want. I just love this material. I absolutely love it. And I love sharing it. I love watching people change right before my eyes in seminars. I don't have any special talent and ability. I've just got some phenomenal information that I've gathered over the past 52 years. And you can have it. If success has been slipping through your fingers, you can stop it right now. And you can produce the results you want, results that stick. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you. Hello there. We're back together, and you're going to love this. Now, I'm betting that you really liked paradigms. I remember when I first discovered that, I thought I was the only one that knew it. It's such a neat idea. Now we understand why we're not doing what we already know how to do. Now let me ask you something really important. Are you, or maybe a loved one, a family member, somebody that you're very close with, leaving your dreams on the table? Insofar as your money is concerned, or maybe the travel you'd like to do, or relationships that you want to develop, or the health that you really, really, truly want to enjoy, or maybe even your love affair. You're missing it. The dream has escaped you. How would you like to know a formula that's as exact, it's exact as mathematics on how to get what you want? See, most people are really extras in their own movie. They look at somebody else and they think, wow, if only I could do that. Well, let me let you in on a secret. You can do that if that's what you want to do. I'm betting that is probably not what you want to do. That's what they want to do. And you know something? If they're doing what they want, you can do what you want, and I can do what I want. See, we're all working with the same mental faculties. We're all working with the same power, and we're all working with the same laws. So it's a matter of understanding how to set and how to achieve goals. Have you ever been really ready to do something and you were scared stiff, and so you backed away and left it back on the table? I know I've been like that. I know a lot of people are like that. Well, if you've done that in the past, or a loved one, you can share this with them. And I would suggest that you do invite some friends in and share this with them, and then sit around as a group and openly and very transparently discuss these hang-ups that we've got, because we've all got them. You're not the only one with them. Now let's stop and think about goals. You know, Thoreau was, he was quite a guy. He said, if a person will advance confidently in the direction of their dream and just endeavor, in other words, you only have to give it your best shot, endeavor to live the life that you've imagined. Do you know what's going to happen? He said you'll meet with success unexpected in common hours. You'll be on your way downtown to do some shopping, and you'll think, I did it. I actually did it. I reached the goal. Do you know the beautiful part about working with goal setting and goal achieving with the right rules by law? That's exactly what happens. You reach the goal and you're motoring at such a speed and having so much fun, you get past it before you realize you've already done it. You're probably off to the next one. Do you know what it is? It's a habitual way to live a creative life that's fulfilling, that really leaves you inside like you've got something. Now, I refer to the system that we use in the Proctor Gallagher Institute. I refer to it as the ABC of goals. Now, you'd say, well, this looks pretty elementary. Well, I'm going to let you in on a secret. It is very elementary. It's just that most people never really learn it. Now, I'm going to talk about the A level of goals as doing things you already know how to do. I had a young guy come up to me one time in a seminar, and he asked me if I'd talk to him about his goal. And I said, sure, what's your goal? He said, I want to get a new car. I said, okay, what kind of a car do you want? He said, I want a new Pontiac. I said, I see. I said, what are you driving now? He said, a Pontiac. Well, you know, some little guard stuff would jump up in my mind. And I said, how old is your car? And he says, it's 4 years old. Well, I said, it's probably time you got another car anyway. You know, I said, how long have you had it? And he said, 4 years. So I said, now let me get this straight. You have known for 4 years how to get a new car. Yeah. Well, I said, then that wouldn't constitute a goal. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get a new car and you don't get a new Pontiac. You can get a Cadillac if you want. You can get a Maserati if that's what you really want. And you should get a car. But you've known for 4 years how to get a car. You see, the beautiful part about goals and understanding it is goals are not to get. Goals is not, you don't set goals for acquisition. You set goals to grow. You set goals to reach inside and stretch and go where you've never been. You set goals to take you to a place you've never gone before. And you grow as a human being, and you know something, you never go back. So A-type goals, forget it. Now let me let you in on a little secret. I'll caution you. Probably all the people you mix with deal with A-type goals. Now why do I say that? Because we're attracted to people that are on the same frequency as us, that are in harmony with us. We talk about the same things, we like about the same things. So when you go for that new goal that's beyond the A-type goal, they're not going to support you. It's not that they don't love you. It's not that they don't want you to win. They don't want you to leave. That's right. They don't want you to leave, and you're going to leave. You're going to raise your consciousness, and you're just automatically going to attract a whole new world into your life. So where do we go if we don't do A-type goals? Well, you go to a B-type goal. Now, many of the people that really think they're shooters, they're really making it happen, they're going after B-type goals, and this really doesn't cut it. It really doesn't cut it. You know how I said in paradigms you got all this knowledge, but you're not using it? Well, that's true in the B-type goals too. See, the person that's after the B-type goal, they pay attention to what's going on in their life. They know how much money they've got in the bank. They know how much is coming in. And they're pretty accurate when they survey their world. I'm talking about their material world and their social world of, him and her and it and them, the people that they could go to for support. And they've got to have a plan. The plan has to be right on the money. Now, they think if this happened, and if that happened, and if she did this, and he did that, and if that money come in like I want it to come in, if all these things happened, then I could do that. And so reluctantly, we say, that's the goal. You'd say, well, is that really the right goal? No. Why not? Well, because you already see how it's going to happen. So in that respect, it's much like an A-type goal. You've got to stretch a little bit, but if everything falls in place. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. There's no inspiration in a B-type goal, and you're going to have to be inspired. But you don't get inspired going after a B-type goal, and your old buddies, the A-type people that you're always with, they're not going to support you because they don't want you to leave. So we got no support, and we've got no inspiration. Now, what's the next? The next is a C-type goal. See, the C-type goal, that's what I really want. When you sit and you daydream, you may have a couple of drinks in your mind, woo, and you're off on a trip somewhere. If only we could do that. If only we could do. And you're fantasizing. But you see, there's a problem with fantasizing. You have been told you don't fantasize. That's not being realistic. It's totally illogical to think that you could do that. Well, that's pretty interesting, It really is pretty interesting. Because if you go back and you study in history and you take a look at the people that have really made their mark, they've been ordinary Johns and Marys who have done something that changed the entire world. Now, you'll often hear people say, well, one person can't change the world. I'm going to tell you something. One person changed my world. And I'll lay you odds, you get locked into this and you share it, and they're going to say you've changed their world. See, we've got to be able to get beyond that barrier of logic. We've got to break through that paradigm. That line that separates us from what we want? It's a paradigm. That's all it is. Do you think the Wright brothers were being logical? Do you think they were being realistic? They weren't scientists. They weren't aeronautical engineers. They were bicycle mechanics in Dayton, Ohio. But they were going to fly. Now, even their daddy was a bishop in a church. He told them they were going to burn in hell for even suggesting that they could fly. But and I know, they introduced us to the kingdom of flight. And it wasn't that many years until we were on the moon. Now think, they crashed right through the logic barrier. They went right through it. They didn't let it stop them. Now you may say, but they're different than me. Well, they probably are. They didn't leave their dreams on the table, and you may be leaving your dreams on the table. Get them off the table. Get them back in your mind. Fall in love with them. Plant them in your heart. What did Solomon say? As a person thinketh in their heart. You've got to get emotionally involved with this. How does a guy like me, no formal education, no business experience, earn millions of dollars, build a business that operates all over the world? I do it because I don't let logic stop me. I'm not afraid of losing. Now think, what do you really want? Go lay under a tree somewhere. Don't even talk to anybody. Let your mind wander. Let it take off. Go to the land of imagination. Think about it. Let your mind wander. Go right through the terror barrier that we call logic. I'm going to teach you something about the terror barrier later, but I want you to stop and think of what you want. I had the very good fortune of working with Sir Edmund Hillary. Now, you might not even know who he is, although he hasn't been gone very long. He is the guy that was the first person to stand on top of the world. He was the very first man to stand on the top of Mount Everest, along with Tenzing Norgay, his Sherpa guide. So you know the beautiful thing about them, this little side deal, neither one of them would say who got there first. Tenzing Norgay didn't say. Edmund Hillary didn't say. But they were the first, Hillary and his Sherpa guide. Now, Ed Hillary was a beekeeper from New Zealand. He was a beekeeper down in Auckland, New Zealand. Where did he get the idea that he could do something that has never been done before? People died. There's people encased in ice up there. They're never coming down. They tried to do this. They had been trying to do this for centuries. Just like the Wright brothers, there's people trying to fly for centuries. But you know the strange thing about it? Ed Hillary went up there in 1951, he failed. He went back in 52, he failed. Now there's people around him saying, you've got to be out of your mind going back there. You're going to kill yourself. But in 1953, he stood on top of the world. Now, I had the pleasure of working with him on a couple of occasions, and the only difference in Ed Hillary and myself that I could see was in his size. He was a big man. You say, but I'm not like Hillary and I'm not like the Wright brothers. You're exactly like them. You're exactly like them. There's a spiritual power within you that's perfect. Your spiritual DNA is perfect, and it's forever seeking expression with and through you. That's why you want things. Don't throw your wants. Don't leave your wants on the table. For goodness sake, take a run at it. Go sit down at that table. Get a pad and a pen out and start thinking, what do I really want? I want to be financially independent. That's something all thinking people want. I'm going to tell you something. When you have no money problems, you'll be amazed how much free time you have. You see, in this program, we talk about wants. We're not talking about what we think we can do, and we're not talking about what we've done in the past. We're talking about where we're going, what we're going to do. What do you want? I guarantee you, if you can describe it, if you can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. That's exactly the way it works. Napoleon Hill, my mentor, he said, anything the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now, you may not believe you can. I guarantee you, you stick with us and you keep studying what I'm sharing with you, and you'll change your beliefs. See, I found out that was one of the keys in my success. I changed my belief. See, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. There's a three-step process for goals, goal setting and achieving. It's fantasy, theory, fact. You've got to build the fantasy. And it's okay to say that it's just a fantasy. That's where everything starts. That's where your clothes started. You probably have synthetic fibers on. We didn't always know how to do that. The building you're in, the air conditioning, the heating system, your cell phone, your computer. The fact that I can shoot this here and you can sit there and watch it. We weren't always able to do this. Somebody fantasized. And then they turned their fantasy into theory. See, they went from using their imagination and they began to use their reasoning factor, and they started to add thoughts to it. And they started to bring it together. And they started to give it some serious thought. It's like Hillary said, I bet I can get to the top of that mountain. Everybody's saying they're crazy. But they didn't know what he could see. He could see what they couldn't see. The Wright brothers. One was saying to the other, I see it, brother, I see it, I see us up there. And when they got up, they were only up for 14 seconds. And somebody said, yeah, but their first flight was only 14 seconds. And they said, we not only got up there, but we stayed up there for 14 seconds. See the difference in perception, in attitude? Don't listen to anybody else. The only person you want to listen to is somebody that's accomplished more than yourself and know that they're no better than you. Listen to them. do what they tell you. I know how to win. If you can build the fantasy and you can turn it into theory, I guarantee you it'll turn into a fact. You hold the idea in your mind and it must manifest in form. That is an absolute law. The wealthiest man in the world in 1908 really started this movement that we are talking about today. Andrew Carnegie told Napoleon Hill, he said, any idea that is held in the mind, that's emphasized, that you fall in love with, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Now, I want to share something that a lady come up on an airplane and give to me. She said, your materials really helped me. I want to give you something that's helped me, and it'll probably help you. It's a wonderful quote, and no one gets credit for it. Said, blessed are the humans who look for unseen things that are intuitive, but not yet accepted into the reality of life. The intuitive is the feeling part of you, the part that can see something nobody else can see. You see it in your mind. It's never been accepted into the reality of life by you or any of your friends or relatives or loved ones. But you can see it. You wouldn't be able to see it if you couldn't get it. Blessed are the humans who look for unseen things that are intuitive but not yet accepted into the reality of life. Now listen to what he says. They will be rewarded with knowledge and wisdom and will become the forerunners of the newest sciences on the planet. Do you know something? There has been over 1,000 people go up Mount Everest since Ed Hillary did. I get on a plane now to fly to the other side of the world, and I go to bed. That's right. I go to bed. They've even got a bed, and they give me a duvet to cover myself. And they ask me if I'd like breakfast when I wake up. God bless the Wright brothers. God bless Ed Hillary. They're no different than you or me. Don't let the fact that you don't know how to do it set the goal. In fact, if you know how to do it, it's probably no good. It's got to scare and excite you at the same time. Now, I want you to go and sit down at that table and you pick up those dreams that you've left sitting there for a while. And you say, no more. I'm alive, I'm awake, and I'm on the move, baby. There may be no one that understands, but I understand. And you write out your goal in the present tense. I am so happy and grateful. Now that, and describe it. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to share something with you that most people never know. I'm going to teach you about the terror barrier. And when you get that, along with the paradigms in this one, I'm going to tell you, baby, you got results that stick. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Don't leave it on the table. Claim it. It's yours. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you. Well, here we are back again. Now we've got some understanding of what paradigms are. We know that if you know how to get to where you're going, you're probably going in the wrong direction. You're not going after what you want. See, the beautiful thing about goals is that it's a forever, never-ending experience. You're going on a journey. You're always going where you've never been. That's what life is about. Life is an exciting adventure. It should never be a bore. And it can be, but only if you follow the right rules. Now, I'm betting that you went and sat down again at the table and you picked up your dream and you've itemized it. I am so happy and grateful now that. Now that you've done that, there's a little internal war going to start going on. Because you see, the paradigm is there in your subconscious mind. It controls your vibration, therefore it controls your actions. Now, there was a doctor, I'm going to digress for a moment, and I'm going to share something with you that I consider the most phenomenal idea that I have ever learned. I had been studying this material for a good 9 years, trying to figure out, why was I winning? I was winning, but I didn't know why. And you know something? Most people that are winning don't know why. Then I was what you call an unconscious competent. I was competent, but I didn't know why I was. I was winning, but I didn't know why. Therefore, I had something that was non-transferable. You're going to become a conscious competent, and you're going to know why you're winning, and therefore you can share it with your kids, your family, your friends. That's the beautiful part about this. Now, I have to take you back to the year 1934. Long time ago, you've got to admit. There was a doctor by the name of Truman Fleet in San Antonio, Texas. And he was actually appalled at the state of the healing arts. He said, we're not going about this. We're not doing this right. He said, we're treating the symptoms of disease. We're not treating disease at all. When you operate on the body or you're asking them, how do you feel? You're treating symptoms. You're not treating the cause of problems. Yet he said, everything originates in the mind. U.S. Anderson wrote one time, when we fully realize that thought causes all, we'll know there's never any limits. We ourselves do not impose. It starts inside. He said, we've got to heal the body, mind, and the soul. We've got to heal the whole person. And he said, nobody's ever seen the mind, ever. The mind is not a thing. Now, most people, when they think of the mind, they actually think of the brain. You might be doing that right now, but that is not the mind. See, the brain is part of the body, a very important part of the body. In fact, that's where the electrical control system is set up for your entire being. This body is a magnificent machine. It's controlled by the mind that sets off the central control system we call a nervous system. Do you know that your nervous system, the electrical system in your body, would make the electrical system in a supercomputer look like a toy? Now, when I get into this, you may think, God, I'm never going to learn all that. You don't have to learn all that. I just want to lay some basics for you to help you understand what I'm going to tell you. And Fleet said, if we're going to help people, we've got to have a picture of the mind. So he said, this is a picture of the mind. Now, I think that's the greatest idea I've ever learned. That's called the stick person. And you'll see the big circle at the top has a line right through the center. On the top half of the line is the conscious mind. And on the bottom half is the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind and the conscious mind working together express themselves through that small circle in the bottom that we call the body. The body is the instrument of the mind. Before the body does something, it has to happen in the mind. We're working from a higher to a lower potential. There's a power flowing to and through us that has no limits. The only limit placed on the power is the limit that's placed on the form through which it's flowing. It's something like electricity. Look at a light bulb for a moment. That is not electricity. That's the expression of electricity. See, the only limit placed on electricity is the limit that's placed on the form through which it's flowing, namely the transformer or the bulb. If you want more light, put in a bigger bulb. Well, if we want more action, plug in a bigger idea. Now, he said, this drawing represents the mind. The top half represents the conscious mind, the bottom half represents the subconscious mind, and the small circle represents the body. Now, I'm going to take the conscious mind off for a minute. Now you just have the subconscious. That is how you arrived on the scene. Your subconscious mind was wide open. Your subconscious mind has no ability to reject anything. Whatever you turn over to it, it will accept. You see, as a little baby, you arrive on the scene like that. That's how language is learned. That's how you pick up all the idiosyncrasies of the people around you. Now, there was genetic conditioning prior to you arriving on the scene. That's why you look so much like your relatives. But then you arrive, you learn the language of the people that surround you. If there's 4 or 5 languages spoken around you, you learn all 4 or 5 languages. There's many places in the world where babies learn 4 or 5 languages before they even go to kindergarten. But as you start to get towards time to go to school, the psychic barrier starts to come up, and the conscious faculties begin to develop. And that's when you start thinking for yourself. But you see, what to think has already been programmed. See that X in the subconscious mind with a puffy little cloud around it? That's the paradigm. And of course, that puts the body in an X-type vibration. Now there's a power flowing into your consciousness. It never stops. And as the power flows in, you build ideas. And what kind of ideas you build? X-type ideas. Why? Because they're in harmony with the paradigm. If you start to think thoughts that are not in harmony with the paradigm, it causes quite a bit of discomfort. Now think. If you've never jumped out of a plane, go up in a plane and contemplate jumping out of it. You'll start to feel very uncomfortable. You see, it's not an X idea. It's not an X idea. Now, it could be that you get involved with that, but not as long as you're thinking X-type ideas. Now, do you see, your life to this point has been controlled by a paradigm, and so you've been thinking thoughts that are in harmony with the paradigm. That is why we keep getting the same results over and over and over again. There's no secret to this. It's predictable. If you watch people, you'll watch how they move. There's habit patterns being expressed, behavioral patterns that's producing the same result. Now let's move this ahead. I call that state bondage. Now we're going to move ahead, and we're going to move into a state that I call reason. Remember I said that power flows in and you can make anything out of it you want? Well, there's a why idea floating out there. What is the why idea? The why idea may sell the house and move to another country. The why idea may quit the job, start your own business. The why idea may bet everything you've got on yourself and your ability to start and build a business. That why idea is one scary little sucker. But you know something? As long as you keep it in your conscious mind and just think about it, everything's cool. And you see, while your dream was on the table, everything was fine. It's something you looked at every now and then. You were capable of seeing it and thinking it, but you never really got emotionally involved with it. That's why it stayed on the table. The idea came to your mind off and on, but it slipped through your fingers. And that's what happens with most people. Success is slipping through their fingers. It lands and lays and stays on the table. What we want to do is turn that idea over to that power inside. Now, what happens when we do that? Well, let's stop and think of what I said. I said the X energy in the paradigm controls the vibration. Now, on a conscious level, vibration is referred to as feeling. You'll probably want to watch this maybe 4 or 5 times because it probably is foreign information. And as you watch it 4 or 5 times, you'll say, damn, that makes so much sense. And it really does because it's the truth about what we're doing. Well, the X energy causes us to vibrate the way we're vibrating. And if somebody says, how do you feel? You'll say, pretty good. Well, I don't feel too good. What you're really saying is, I'm in a great vibration or I'm not in a very good vibration. What happens when you're not in a very good vibration? You're emotionally involved in a negative idea. See, your subconscious is your emotional mind. Now, if you go to turn that why idea over to the subconscious mind, which is what you have to do if you're going to act on it, all hell breaks loose. Now look at this. When you do that, when you take the why idea and you turn it over, you're going to find that worry, fear, anxiety strike, bang! A terror barrier pops up and you bounce off that terror barrier and you go right back into bondage. You think, oh God, I don't really want to do that. I mean, I don't need all that money. And I'd have all those income tax problems. And besides, I don't want to have the responsibility of a company. I may not earn much here, but I feel safe here. That's what keeps most people where they are. You see, the worry is on a conscious level. You worry you're not going to put it all together. Remember, you can't see the results. You can't see how you're going to do it. And that worry instantly turns into fear. You impress worry, and it turns into fear. Now, whatever's impressed must be expressed, and it turns into anxiety. Now, in a future lesson, I'm going to show you where it goes from there. But for the benefit of this lesson, you don't like to stay in an anxious state. And a terror barrier bounces up, and you bounce right off the damn thing, and you go right back into bondage. Have you any idea how many people do that? Have you any idea how many people are doing it today that are just about a 9-iron away from where you're sitting? Your friends, your relatives, people that are absolutely brilliant, and you'll look and you'll say, you could do that without any trouble. You're so smart. We think they can, but we can't. Do you want to know something? You're every bit as smart. All the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is locked up within you. Now think about what I'm saying. All science and all theology, the only two sources of reference we've got to go to, tell us that we've got deep reservoirs of talent and ability within us. We're spiritual beings, and our spiritual DNA is perfect. There's perfection within us, and Spirit's always seeking expansion and fuller expression. There's something in you that wants to express itself in a greater way. There's something in you that wants you to reach, that wants you to stretch, that wants you to get out and do something. But that terror barrier, boom, every time you think of doing it, it scares the daylights out of you. See, the XY energy doesn't mix. It's opposing energy. It sets up a foreign vibration, and it causes a very uncomfortable feeling. I want you to think of this for a moment. I want you to imagine that maybe we're at the end of the road. The two of us. We may be buddies, but we're at the end of the road. Now, you know when you get to the end of the road, if you're here for a long time, you could end up where your mind is as sharp as a tack, but the body just isn't cutting it. And they may have us tied in a wheelchair so we don't fall out, or in a crib bed, because there's no strength in the body. It's depleted, but our mind is sharp. So all we got to do is sit there. Wouldn't it be a terrible thing to reflect back on all those dreams we left on the table? Wouldn't it be a terrible thing to sit there and say, I wonder what would have happened if we had moved there? I wonder what would have happened if I had built that company. I wonder what would have happened, but I can't go back. If only I could go back and do it again. If I had known just how short life really is. If only. Wouldn't it be much better to sit there and relive all the big moves we made? Even the big losses would be exhilarating to relive them. Wouldn't it be wonderful to go back and relive the dreams that we conquered? Oh my goodness, I think that would be great. Well, you see, you've got a choice. And you can go crashing right through that terror barrier. Joseph Campbell said, the cave we feared enter holds the treasure that we seek. Now, you see, you've got it within you to just say, I'm going for it. See, on the other side of the terror barrier is freedom. And you know that's what we seek? If you go to Washington, D.C. in the United States of America and go visit the Korean Wall, in honor of all the Americans that lost their life in Korea, you will see carved into granite, freedom is not free. You don't have to know how to get there, and you don't have to have a plan. Martin Luther King didn't have a plan. He said, I have a dream. You see what I'm saying? You just have to know the first step of action that's necessary. That's all you have to know. You got to have guts. And you know something? The more understanding you have, the more guts you will have. When you go crashing through that terror barrier, the fear doesn't leave, the uncomfortable doesn't leave, but through the repetition of impressing the why idea over and over and over, it eventually leaves. And you build a new paradigm. And then you start the same journey over. But you're starting it from a different place. Where you started here, now you're starting up here. And you've got all the experience. Personally, when I set a goal, if it doesn't scare the daylights out of me, I know it's no good. Now, I don't want to waste my time because I know that there's only so much. I don't know how much there is, but I want the time to count. I want to know exactly what I'm doing. I want to know exactly where I'm going. And I want every day to be an exciting adventure. Now think, how do you really want to live? Do you want to leave those dreams on the table? Is that really what you want to do? Do you want to get to the end of the road and reflect and say, damn, if only I had known? Well, now you do know. Now, it doesn't matter if anybody else knows. I know, and you and I can become connected. You don't have to let your dreams slip through your fingers. You don't have to let them lay on the table. And you know the beautiful part about it is, neither do your friends or your relatives or your kids. Do you realize when you learn this, you've got something that's transferable that you can give to their children, and the breed will just improve to no end. No one in my family ever went to school. So when I was 15 or 16, they said, are you going? No, I'm out of here. That was accepted. That was part of the paradigm. I started to study this material before any of my children were born. I didn't ask them if they were going to go. I just changed one question. Where are you going to go? Do you know something? They all went to school. Isn't that strange? It's so strange. Now you may wonder whether your friends and relatives and neighbors are going to accept you. Probably not at first. They'll think you're a little crazy. But Edison's relatives thought that. The Wright brothers thought that. Hillary's brothers and sisters thought that. I went to dinner with my sister and her husband, and my wife's sister, and Gina, and her husband, on my birthday here just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And my sister and we're very loving, but we're not really close. She's very busy running a business, and I am. My brother and I, he's in Southern California, I'm in Toronto. So although we stay in touch and we love each other, we don't spend a lot of time together. We're very busy reaching our own goals. And Helen said, Al and I sat in Florida and we talked about you. And we talked about the change that's taken place in our family since you picked up Think and Grow Rich. And we realized none of us, our kids, no one would be living the life we're living if you hadn't gone for that goal, Bob. And she and Al had a plaque made and engraved, and they gave it to me for my 79th birthday. Said they were going to do it on my 80th, but they thought, no, we better do it now. I said, what do you think, I'm checking out? And I phoned my brother in Southern California. I was in Toronto, and I was thanking him for it. He said, yesterday was the 4th of July, Bob, and all the kids and all the grandkids and everybody was here. And I read them what was on the plaque that Helen was going to be giving you. And I told them none of them would be enjoying the life they were enjoying if you hadn't stepped out and bet on yourself. I felt so good. My sister said, my kids wouldn't be doing what they're doing. Her young daughter, Carolyn, came to seminars and she was just a little kid. And she made up her mind she wanted to be a lawyer and she wanted to be a judge. She is a Supreme Court judge in Canada today. Her son runs a multi-million-dollar business that my sister and her husband started. You have no idea who you're impacting. You have no idea how many people are watching you. They thought I was crazy. But when they saw I wasn't, they started to follow me. You go, they'll come. You've got more power in you than you'll ever use. God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you'll ever use in your lifetime. Your gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as you can in this lifetime. Never let the terror barrier stop you. You go up against it and you crash right through it. That's why I'm here. I'm here to grow. Goals are not to get. Goals are to grow. The getting is just a side benefit. And remember, everything you own at the time your death's going to belong to somebody else. You never own it, so don't ever let it own you. But don't sit back. Step out. Bet on yourself. Build that dream and go for it. Now you watch this. You watch this video. You watch all these videos you've received. You get very involved in this program that we're laying out. And you will come up with results that stick, and so will your brothers and sisters and family and friends. Because they're watching you. I'll support you. The Proctor Gallagher Institute is here for one person, to help people do what we've done.